Coming up on Theater Talk.
You can get place to Vanessa because you could just go up and ring her doorbell and she will just often answer it.
Right.
She's not inaccessible. She's not this sort of big famous legendary star, you know. She's pretty open.
Yeah,
Don't
absolutely.
tell people where she lives. Yeah.
Right.
No.
And the doorbell actually is broken, so don't even try. But
Theater Talk is made possible in part by the CUNY TV Foundation. From New York City, this is Theater Talk. I'm producer Susan Haskins.
And I'm Michael Riedel of the New York Post.
So Michael, tonight we have an emerging young playwright who also happens to be an Academy Award nominated movie star.
Yeah,
but
minor little resume he's got
Yes.
there. Jesse Eisenberg, a fine actor and a very fine playwright who has a new play off-Broadway at the Rattlestick Theater called The Revisionist. And you're opposite, another minor actress, Vanessa Redgrave, right? Just the two of you. And who's the third actor in the play? He's very
Daniel Oreskes.
Daniel Oreskes,
Yeah, great New York actor, plays a character who speaks not one word of English.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a terrific play, and just to set it up for our viewers who've not seen it, you play a writer who's struggling with a draft of a book that you've got to turn in.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to get it done, you leave America and you go to a relative of yours in Poland, and that's Vanessa Redgrave.
Right.
Why does your character choose Poland? Why go there to get away from his own particular struggles in America?
He has this kind of naive, self-aggrandizing notion that if he does something drastic, like fly, he originally wanted to go to Kathmandu and couldn't get a room there, and then emailed a guy from college who moved to Tanzania, and he was going to go visit him in Tanzania, but the guy never emailed him back. So he just tries to do anything that he thinks is like this drastic change of scenery in order to write his book. But of course, when he gets there, he realizes his lack of talent in America travels with him to Poland.
Well, I think it was Somerset Maugham who said, you know, he tried to get away from himself, and the only trouble was that he brought himself with him.
Right, exactly.
So that's it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but along the way, though, we begin to get the story, which we don't want to give it away because there's some surprises in the play, of Vanessa's character, who is it fair to say there's a slight element of Sophie's Choice there, that there's a story that it will emerge in.
Yeah, so Vanessa plays you know, a survivor of World War II, and she survived in a pretty in a very complicated way, but is actually kind of harboring this even bigger secret that she's been holding on to for many decades. And over the course of the play, you know, my character and her bond, and she starts to feel more comfortable and starts to reveal things to him that he's not initially in a place to accept.
Right. What got you thinking about this whole idea for a play? Were you interested in this period of history, or do you have any relatives yourself who survived the Holocaust?
Yeah, I think, you know, I started to get interested in like my own family's history, probably just as an extension of my own narcissism a few years ago, because this was like a way for me to focus on myself in a way that didn't appear that way. So, but I have an aunt who I'm very close with. She's actually lives on the block where we're filming this. She's 101. She was born in southeastern Poland, and I told her if I ever got into a movie in Europe, I would go drive up to this town and take a picture of her house so that she can see it, you know, because she can't fly back there. So I was doing a movie in Bosnia, and I drove up to this little town. I took a picture of the house, and then while I was there, I knew that I have this actually, I have a second cousin who lives on the other side of the country in Szczecin, Poland, named Maria, who is the character's name that Vanessa plays in the play. And I went to go stay with her because I knew she lives alone and would probably love to have some company. And at the time, I was kind of frustrated with my movie career, and when I went to stay with Maria in Szczecin, Poland, where this play takes place, I realized how kind of petty my problems were in comparison to this woman's life, who had just been through hell 1,000 times over. So I started thinking this would be a good thing to write about, because it's an important thing to talk about. Different generations' view of family. I have kind of a dismissive attitude toward my New York family because I take them for granted because I grew up with them, whereas my cousin in Poland doesn't have a geographic connection, a physical connection to the American family, but knows every member of the family, knows every cousin, knows every relationship.
This is the real cousin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is what Vanessa Redgrave does in the play. She's not seen these people, but she knows everybody who's married to whom and who the cousins are, or the American branch of her family. Yeah,
and then my character lives with all these people blocks away in New York City and is totally dismissive of them. And I thought it's such a kind of sad dynamic that, and not only for these characters, but kind of in a broader way. Not that I was trying to make any kind of broad generational point, but this is very common amongst, you know, people who I grew up with.
And particularly since in Vanessa Redgrave's case, the character in your play, her family was wiped out by the Nazis. So that's why family means so much to her. It's not something she can take for granted because it was taken away from her.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, her tragic past heightens her need for family.
Now, I have to ask you, Maria is the cousin, right? That you were you as obnoxious to her as your character is to Vanessa Redgrave in this play? Were you that narcissistic with your movie career back then?
No, I hope not. I think I kept a lot of that inside. But you know, for the purposes of drama, you know, the characters are a little. Yeah, my character goes there just with this kind of this chip on his shoulder and this sense of deservedness, as though, you know, as though the world owes him something for having wrin a few
novel
pages in a book. That's probably really not good. So. Yeah, so I just kind of heightened that. I think I have the same chip, but I probably just hide it. Yeah, in my blazer.
Right. Now, you're an actor, of course, and a writer. Are you always going to jump back and forth between the two? I mean, is there one that you enjoy more than the other?
No, I really like working on various projects, like irrespective of the medium. So I write like humor essays, kind of short form. I write long form plays and short fiction. So I write things and then act in movies, some of which are like, you know, kind of bigger plot oriented movies, and some of which are more character. And I find being able to do all of that is a lot more fun than I think if I was like doing the same thing, because I get pretty impatient, and then when I'm working on one thing, I immediately have the urge to do the exact opposite of it. So whenever I'm working on like a big budget movie and I feel like I'm spending the day kind of like running and pointing at lights, I go home and I write like the most small, obscure, esoteric short essay I could write.
What were you acting in at the time you wrote this play?
I don't want to give titles away, but what was happening was I was doing movies and I just felt like I felt like I was not being taken in the way that I wanted to be viewed.
Was this before or after The Social Network?
It was before. It was like 6 or 7 years ago.
Okay.
And I just felt like I wanted to be taken seriously, and I was doing movies. Some of them were like comedic, and I just felt frustrated that I was being viewed that way.
Because I was just wondering, because now you have been taken so very seriously, if with talent as an actor. I just wondered if.
Oh yeah, so I wrote this like six or 7 years ago, and I just felt like, and so I decided, and I had never written a play before, but I just decided like, well, that's the place to really, you know, exercise the more serious muscles of performing or writing, you know, as opposed to you know, writing movie scripts, which I was doing up until that point, and tailoring them to movie celebrities that wanted the characters to be like more likable and stuff, and it was just such a frustrating process. And then so I thought, well, I should just write a play.
So when did you decide to try to bring Vanessa Redgrave into the mix, or how did that happen?
I think right after I finished the play, I saw Vanessa in The Year of Magical Thinking, and I just, you know, when you're writing something, you view everything through the filter of whatever you're writing. So I thought like, this is the greatest actress of all time. I had seen her in things, but never kind of something so powerfully just her. It was a one-woman show. And so I became fixated on her. And then over the course of the next 5-6 years, I had done readings of it, and I always tried to get it to her and never was successful. I sent it to people I thought she knew and burned bridges. And then finally I had a play on last year, which I had written after writing this play.
Right?
Yeah. I was at the same theater, and her agent saw it and they liked it. They asked if I have any other plays, and I said, yeah, I do. I want to do this other play next year. And they said, oh, who would you like to be in it? I said, well, you know, Vanessa Redgrave is so ideal if she could read it. And they sent it to her, and like 2 weeks later, I was working in England actually at the time, and 2 weeks later they they said, she really wants to do it. Can you go meet her at her apartment? It was like the most comfortable, easiest process, which is totally disproportionately to the achievement, which is to get somebody like her in a play.
You can get plays to Vanessa because you could just go up and ring her doorbell and she will just often answer it.
Right.
She's not inaccessible. She's not this sort of big famous legendary star. You know, she's pretty open.
Yeah,
don't tell people where she lives. Yeah.
Right. No. And the doorbell actually is broken, so don't even try. But
That's right.
she's waiting for the electrician. But she, you know, I think that kind of accessibility is not unrelated to what she's doing in the play. I mean,
exactly. Yeah.
I mean, and not just that she's doing a you know, a play in a 200-seat theater in the West Village, but even more than that, like what she brings to the character is this kind of like, this like modesty and humility and quietness and smallness and specificity that is totally related to that kind of open accessibility that she personally has.
We had Brian Dennehy on when he was doing Long Day's Journey into Night with Vanessa, and Brian said that he had done the show the year before in Chicago, and he said, you know, I know the character, I know the parts can be fine. He said the very first time we got together and read the script at the table, Vanessa was doing things that made me realize I had to completely throw out that performance and reinvent it again, because he said I'd never had that experience with an actress who was so willing to go in these many bold and different directions. And he said it was the most exciting acting experience he's ever had working with her, because she was totally unpredictable. And I'm just curious if you've had a similar experience, or if you can tell us what the experience is like working with someone at her level.
Yeah, it's a probably I probably can't relate totally to that, because I wrote the play and have been living with her character for like 6 years. So I've thought about a million different incarnations of what it could be. That said, she surprises me every night because she's kind of living it in such a real way. I don't find her unpredictable. I just find her like alive, and that's kind of, I guess, a pretentious, esoteric way to put, which is something that I mean, just like she's just real. Like, so from one moment to the next, you could see the direct, realistic, emotional flow of a human being. And so that keeps it fresh for me, but not because it's different.
Right, right,
Yes,
right,
yes.
right. Have you picked up any like sort of little acting tricks from her at all?
I watch her every night as my character, and I see, because I know her so well, and I know the character so well, I know what we're doing together so well, I could see the way she like will pace herself for an audience, and in a really responsible way. The play is dramatic at its core and emotionally realistic, but it's also, you know, in a lot of ways a comedy for most of it. So I see the way she kind of changes herself to pace things for the audience to keep it right and to keep it responsible. Whereas, like, I think when something's really funny, I probably have the irresponsible urge to feed on that.
Get a bigger laugh.
Right.
Well, also, I love her physicality too.
Yeah.
Though, you know, I mean, just the way she moves. She's in such control of those movements of her hands. You know, she can move a hand this way and get a laugh that's this big, and then she can move the hand this way and get a laugh that's just maybe a few notches down.
I know, and it never seems like, it's funny, but never at the expense of, you know, what's real about it.
No,
It's
no,
so
no,
perfect.
it's totally
I
within
know.
the character, but you
Right.
just realize here is someone who's so good, she is living the moment, and yet at the same time she has this tremendous technique that you can only have being in front of an audience for all those years.
That's exactly it. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's the difference between real talent and real technique, and she has both.
Are you still mastering the technique as a young actor? Are you still...
Yeah, I mean, I do feel like I'm getting better show to show at my job as an actor, and getting better, not just in this play, but as an actor in general. And I think it's just like that Malcolm Gladwell thing of 10,000 hours, you become really an expert at something. And I think that's why it's also really important, at least for me, to do plays, because it gives me practice that you just can't get on a movie set where you're doing one scene and then it's over.
Yeah, exactly. So how many, 10,000 hours, how many hours have you racked up as an actor, would you say, at this point in your career?
I haven't done the math because I'm worried it'll be under 10,000 hours, and then I'll feel terrible that I'm not worthy of going on stage tonight. So I'm assuming it's somewhere over, just so I can feel confident, but it's probably not.
Right. So can you just give us a little sense of your background here in New York, and do you remember the sort of first thing you did, maybe in the theater, where the bug bit and you thought, this is something I might want to do?
Yeah, I was born in Queens, and when I was 5, we moved to New Jersey, and then I started doing children's theater when I was about 7 years old. And I really didn't like it, but more than not liking it, I really didn't know what was going on. Like, I didn't realize the difference between being like on the stage or off the stage. Like, it all kind of just blended together for me. But I guess I started doing community theater when I was like 13, so it's just, you know, it's like non-professional, but with adults, with sets and everything. And I really started to love musicals, like Stephen Sondheim and stuff. So I really started to get into like that world. And then
And your mother was a performer, right?
my mother was a birthday party clown.
Right.
Yeah. So
So was your,
yes.
I mean, I'm
Hey, you
So,
know,
generally speaking,
don't knock
yes.
the work.
Yeah, yeah.
no, because your mother, your parents, are your parents together? I don't mean to.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
They're
Not right, not probably at the moment,
but
yeah,
they're-
but in life.
They sired 2 actors, you and your sister, Haley
Right.
And and I just was intrigued by, did your mother bring you into the children's theater in the beginning? I mean, it's like the Breslin children. I wonder, what's with the mother that brought these kids into
No, what happened was I have an older sister who was shy, and so my parents thought that maybe they could enroll her in the local children's theater to maybe bring her out of her shell. And I watched her jealously from the back of the theater in Charlie Brown and thought I want to be on stage with her, just to be with her. So that's why I got interested in it. And but I think I was just like maybe an ambitious kid, so I thought, well, I want to be in theater now with adults, and then I want to be in theater in New York. When I heard you could be in theater in New York City, it seemed like the greatest thing. So when I was like 14, I was able to come into New York City, and I started auditioning for things and found an agent, and I got like into a show at the Roundabout Theater when I was 14 called Summer and Smoke as an understudy, the Tennessee Williams play.
Alma Weinmiller.
What's that?
Alma Weinmiller.
Whoa, very good.
That's not what he played.
right. I played the young Alma Weinmiller. Yeah.
What was the community theater show that you did, the first one you did that you really sort of hooked you?
It may have been like Merrily We Roll Along, which is like still one of my favorite shows, Stephen Sondheim.
Yeah, the one that goes backwards.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because like at the time I remember thinking like, this is really, really great. And I still think that now. And like, it's my life's work now. Like, and I love Stephen Sondheim and I love musicals. And
So would you do musicals?
Are you a singer? Do you sing?
I don't. I wrote a musical that I think we'll do next year because I write music as well. And so I would like to do that as my next, I have another play for next year, but I think before that would do a musical. I wouldn't be in it. I wouldn't be in it. No, it's a 3-character musical, but I wouldn't be appropriate for any of the parts. But I like musicals. I'm not like a great songwriter, but I listen to musicals, from very young, so it's like just embedded. So I try to sit down and write a song like Elliott Smith or something, and it comes out like Frank Wildhorn, I guess. So.
Well, have you ever met Steve?
No, I mean, no, I would be too nervous to meet him.
Really?
Oh, no, he would love you.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then bring him out. Is he here?
Well, no, not today.
No,
All right,
not
go
today,
on.
Okay.
That's it. Now, do you can you dance as well?
No.
You love musicals, but you're not really a dancer.
I was a 1.5 threat. Yeah. Could act and sing off key. Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
So you're in community theater and you're playing, I don't know, you do like Music Man stuff, or you do all the little boy parts and all those things? And
I didn't like the Music Man, but I was like in The Secret Garden and Oliver. I like the darker musicals. I never liked like the happier ones.
Secret Garden. That was
Yeah, it's great.
Now, did you audition for Broadway musicals at any point in your career? Did you go to those open cattle calls and all those kind of things?
No, I didn't. I think I got into auditioning in New York too late to audition for like, well, I guess it would have been like Les Miserables and whatever the shows with boys were in it. But I did actually like a 2-week workshop of The Adventures of Tom Sawyer, which actually went to Broadway.
Yeah, and failed. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe because they didn't carry me over. No, I played like one of the boys who paints the
Fence.
Yeah, and I guess I didn't maybe my strokes weren't straight enough or something because I didn't get selected for the Broadway show. But that was also, I really love doing it. Yeah, I love doing it. But I'm not a good enough musical theater performer. I mean, the people who do musical theater are, I mean, it's a discipline that actually is like a real skill.
Yeah.
Like, people can, I think, act in like a straight play, and do that role even if they don't have so much practice at acting because they can maybe fit the character, but you can't hide in a musical.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to do it all. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I do a little bit of cameos on Smash playing myself, and I'm no actor, and I've got several scenes on Smash to prove it. But it's true. You can sort of get away without being an actor. You can get away on the TV show or the movies,
Right?
Because someone else is really in control. You just do it over and over again, and then they pick, and they can make you look much better than you really are.
Yeah, exactly. I always think of singing as like juggling. Like, if you can't do it, you really can't. You can't catch the ball, then you can't catch the ball. Like, whereas acting, I think it's a lot more forgiving. You can like drop the ball and say, "Oh, that's interesting. The ball dropped." You know,
And
I think
also
there's a lot more leeway.
There's that vocal control that you have to do when you're singing, that your voice doesn't change. I mean, if you're nervous, it shows up more when you're singing.
Right, exactly. Like,
Yeah.
I'm terrified every night on stage, but no one knows
You
because
don't
my
have to-
character is a jittery drug addict.
Yes, you so cleverly made your persona that you're this jittery guy.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, well, yeah. The character is like fiending to smoke marijuana that he's hidden in his suitcase, and so until he gets it, he's like, you know, he can't stay, settle down in his own skin.
Yeah, you're like Woody Allen being Woody Allen.
I don't know if Woody Allen ever did, but
Not pothead, but doing
Yeah.
doing a jittery, nervous guy that brings that essence of himself into it.
oh yeah, but my
Yes.
character's like driven by this kind of self-hating anger.
Well, and I must say, I watched that, and going back to your self-hating anger, I said, and Asuncion too, you dump on your character so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, that you, in other words, we've seen you in these movies. There's a certain essential you that's wonderful that comes in your movies, but you're really negatively commenting on yourself. As you said, you brought up the narcissism, you brought up the being kind of scornful. I mean, is that a part of yourself that you're really seeing there and trying to
Yeah, I could only write about parts of myself that I'm trying to like work out or something that I feel maybe ashamed of that I'm trying to exercise with an O. And so I am really like mostly motivated to write about things that I don't like in myself. So the last play, the character was just this, another self-hating guy in this play too. And then the next play, the guy is even worse. So that's what motivates me to write, is like working something out in myself. And then the acting of it is almost like some kind of final manifestation of that exorcism.
that process?
How's it going, though? You seem to have written this character now 3 times, and you say the one coming up is even worse than this.
Right.
So how's it working out for you, Jesse?
Not well. Yeah. But there are different aspects. Like last year, the character was like felt a lot of guilt, and he in the first scene he gets mugged and then comes back in and he's bleeding and he apologizes for his muggers. And then this character in this play is arrogant. He thinks he deserves a lot. So it's actually kind of the opposite side of the same self-hatred.
Yeah, right.
I must quickly touch upon The Social Network, for which you were nominated for an Oscar and so many other things. When you read for that part, did you think, this is me, I have to get this one? Well, of course, actors always think that. But did you have a special connection to it from the get-go?
No, but I never think that, though.
Oh,
I mean, I never assume I'll ever be in anything, and whenever I read something, I can't picture myself in it. I don't watch the movies I've been in, so I can't even picture them if I have been in it. No, I never have that sense. I guess I like certain things more than others.
And you never saw that movie?
We had to go to some special public screening of it, so I just stared at the floor, but otherwise I'll avoid it.
Why is there a particular reason why you don't like to see yourself? You don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, when you look in a mirror, you see like you see the front of your face, and when you're in a movie, you're like required to see the side of your face, and I find that jarring. Yeah.
It's true. Also, I suppose, I mean, watching yourself would be difficult because then you become self-conscious of the kind of things that you just physically might do.
Yeah, exactly. My goal as an actor is not to like achieve some certain moment, but to just like feel like I'm experiencing a real emotion that coincides with the emotion that the character is experiencing, which is like a very difficult task, I feel. And I don't care if it comes across well, I just want to have achieved that for myself. So watching a movie is almost a bit of like an annoying letdown because you just feel like, well, I remember not achieving it that day, so it looks right, and the music's underneath is kind of supporting that emotion, but it was not right. I was not doing the right thing. Or conversely, I felt I was doing the right thing, but the camera's in a place that doesn't emphasize that, so it's disappointing.
That's how I feel when I see myself on Smash. I always feel that if the camera just been in another place, it would have been much more realistic moment. So,
yeah.
You don't go to the theater very much. Why? You're a playwright. Don't you want to, see what everyone else is doing?
No, I feel like alternatively competitive, jealous, or or dismissive of something. And then I don't want to feel like if something's bad, which most things are bad, then I just feel like my thing is bad because I'm in the same medium. And if something's good, I think, well, I'll never be able to write something like that. I've seen like a few shows that have really been inspiring, like Clybourne Park most recently. I thought like, oh, that's exactly what I want to write. It's talking about interesting sociopolitical issues, but it's really funny, consistently funny, and talks about big things, but not in a way that's pretentious or esoteric or condescending. And that's the kind of stuff I want to write, but I so rarely see stuff like that.
Yeah, well, Tom Stoppard once said, I did an interview with him, and he said, when I sit down to write and I look at my bookshelf and I see Dostoevsky and Tolstoy, he said, if I let them intimidate me, I would never write a word. You just have to turn your back to them and just go your own way.
Yeah. Yeah, I think sometimes I feel like inspired by something that's really terrible because it makes me feel like, well, anything I do, it's going to be better than that thing, and that thing's on TV. So yeah,
exactly. All right, well, you're a very, very talented young man. Jesse Eisenberg's new play is The Revisionist at Cherry Lane Theater, right?
And I'm hoping you're going to work to move it.
Oh yeah, I think we're talking about that.
Chat about going to Broadway.
Yeah, we're talking about that now. Don't write anything snarky about that. Okay. Thanks.
No,
Thanks very much.
It stars The Revisionist by Jesse Eisenberg, starring Jesse Eisenberg and the great, great Vanessa Redgrave. Don't miss it, and thanks a lot for being our guest.
Thank you so much for having me. What an honor to be on the show.
Thank you very much.
And were you pleased, they asked of Helen in hell. Was I pleased, she said, that all Troy's towers fell, and Priam's sons were slain, and lost his throne, and such a war was fought shall ne'er be seen again. and fought for me alone. Was I pleased? She said. Oh, I should think I was. There's a lovely thing we do for little kids.
Oh, yeah.
Kids like this.
We can try and do this together if you want.
We'll do this, all right.
Okay.
We'll do a tempo like that. Only they mustn't hear it because sound will cut their throats if they hear this. So we will do the timing, you see, and the cameras will see the timing, but they won't hear it. Right,
Okay.
here we go. There was a man and he was an
encyclopedia.
No, we're in different keys.
Oh, okay.
That's it. There was a man and he was an encyclopedia. He knew the weight of the moon to an ounce and the name of every star. He knew all about etymology, Hebrew, Shebrew, Jujuology, syntax, hobnail, boot tax. He was full as a Pickford van.
Lovely. Tony Awards all around.
Our thanks to the Friends of Theatre Talk for their significant contribution to this production. Theatre Talk is made possible in part by the Frederick Lowe Foundation, the Eleanor Naylor Dana Charitable Trust, the Cory and Bob Donnelly Charitable Fund, the Noel Coward Foundation, Carrie J. Fries, the Dorothy Strelson Foundation, the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, and the New York State Council on the Arts, a state agency.
We welcome your questions or comments for Theatre Talk. Thank you and good night.